What is up, booktube? It is Rebecca with Adventures in Pages, and today I'm starting a reading vlog for the Book of the Month Readathon, which is being hosted by Kelsey Loves Books over on Instagram. I'll link her profile below, but just follow me along as I try to tackle my Book of the Month backlist. It's funny though, because all of these books I either got in this month's or last month's box, but you know, it's okay. So, I actually already started A Good Marriage by Kimberly McCreight. I think I'm about halfway through it, and I'm really enjoying it so far. I'll read you the synopsis. So it says, Lizzie Kitsakis is working late when she gets the call. Grueling hours are standard at elite law firms like Young and Crane, but they'd be easier to swallow if Lizzie was there voluntarily. Until recently, she'd been a happily underpaid federal prosecutor. With that job and her brilliant and devoted husband Sam, she had everything she'd ever wanted. And then suddenly, it fell apart. The last thing, no, that's a lie. It wasn't sudden, was it? Long ago, the cracks in Lizzie's marriage had started to show. She was just good at averting her eyes. The last thing Lizzie needs right now is a call from an inmate at Rikers asking for her help. Even if Zach Grayson is an old friend, but Zach is desperate. His wife Amanda has been found dead at the bottom of their stairs in their Brooklyn brownstone, and Zach's the primary suspect. As Lizzie is drawn into the dark heart of idyllic Park Slope, she learns that Zach and Amanda weren't what they seemed, and that their friends, a close-knit group of fellow parents at the exclusive Brooklyn Country Day School, may be protecting troubling secrets of their own. In the end, she's left wondering not only whether her marriage can be saved, but what it means to have a good marriage in the first place. So it's kind of a domestic thriller, but I can't tell yet if it's going to be truly a courtroom drama or if the case is just going to run side by side. So far, we have seen transcripts from the grand jury, but we haven't had like whole scenes take place there yet. So I don't know if they're going to, or if they're just going to continue to kind of tell you how the court case is going via those transcripts, which I actually really like. I don't mind courtroom dramas, but sometimes it feels like it's the only purpose of the book, and then as soon as it's over, you still have like a third of the book left, and you're like, okay, so now what? So I do enjoy this perspective. Yeah, so far it's so good. I have it on audiobook as well, and I'm really glad I did because I got bookshelves from Target that I need to put together. So I think I'm going to listen to that audiobook while I get those put together, and then hope you follow me along for the rest. Talk to y'all later. Alright, sorry for the crap lighting. I'm in my car in my parking garage at my apartment about to go get my pickup order from Target, but I just finished the audiobook for A Good Marriage by Kimberly McCreight. So book one of the Book of the Month-a-thon is done. I gave it 4 stars. I really liked it. I'll go into more detail, I think, at the end. I'm going to do like a wrap-up of all the books I read, but I would say it's one of the better mystery thrillers I've read this year. I don't even know that I would particularly call it a thriller. I mean, there are some moments that like are surprising and kind of thrillery, but like it's more of a mystery more than anything. So if you're the kind of person who doesn't like having your brain tapped and it being like super psychological, like imagine like a Law and Order episode where you just follow the defense attorney. Like that would be, I think, a better way of looking at it. Because it's not a courtroom drama either. Like, court is happening while this is going on. Like, it's like kind of not dual timelines because it's not separated, but you kind of have this what's happening now as main character Lizzie, the defense lawyer, is trying to figure out what's going on. But then you also have like grand jury statements like making it through like as like a page or max like 2 pages. Like they're not usually very long. And so it's kind of cool to see, and you're like, okay, well, how are we getting to there? And it's like piecing that together throughout. But it was great. I really enjoyed it. And I think the reason I enjoyed it is because all of it felt plausible. All of the like random problems that pop up, because, you know, whenever you follow a story about a defense lawyer, it's always like, okay, whether or not they believe the client, it's what did the client leave out? Okay, now that I've gone to hunt down these leads, I'm finding out more and more. And so it's kind of this process of like, do I believe what they're telling me? You know, chasing down more and more things, and just all of it felt realistic. And especially because it centers around this group of parents, like all of their kids go to the same, I think it's like Brooklyn Country Day or whatever the name of the school is. Like all of the problems, some of them revolved around the kids, and some of them had nothing to do with the kids, and the only reason it was connected is because like the kids went to the same school as some of the other adults' kids. But yeah, I don't know, it just felt very tangible, very real. Now I will say, like, the piling on of the problems, like, I don't know that I've ever had that experience, but like, as the oldest of 4 kids, and having like a significant age gap between, like, there's 4 of us, so me and my brother Micah are like 20 months apart, and then there's like a gap, and then there's Matthew and Daniel at the end, and they've got 2 years apart between them. And so I often would find myself involved in like school goings-ons of the younger 2, because like when I was in high school, they were coming out of elementary school, going into middle school, and so it's just like, and our schools were close together, so like I'd pick them up on my way home and things like that. And so some of the issues that they're having, like I remember, you know, having to talk to my little brother's teacher about, you know, him getting in a fight with a kid and whether or not it was bullying and things like that. So it's just like real issues that you can go, okay, even if I don't have kids, like I can see how this happens, or like you went through school too. But yeah, it's interesting. It's great. I feel like I just rambled on for like 5 minutes. So anyway, so I'm going to go get my pickup order. I think I'm going to start Beach Road when I get back. Or maybe it's called Beach Read. I really should know the titles of these books that I choose every month to read, but whatever. I'll show it to you and give you a synopsis. But basically, it is about 2 authors that are both experiencing writer's block, and they kind of go away on like a writer's retreat sabbatical situation, and they end up in beach houses next to each other. And the female writer is I think a romance author, and the male writer is a contemporary writer. And I guess in an attempt to overcome their writer's block, they switch genres and try to write in each other's genres to kind of like, I guess, stretch themselves and move past their block. And, you know, because they're writers and they're, I'm sure, angsty and over their writer's block, are taking it out probably in some sexual ways. So I fully expect for this to be a quick-paced contemporary romance. I don't think it'll be chick lit. I kind of hope it's not. Some of the reviews I've seen are of people who tend to really like romance don't like it, and I struggle with romance. I'm hoping that I'll enjoy it. So yeah, when I get back, we'll hop into that. Hi, happy Friday, and welcome to day 2 of the Book Month-a-thon. Book of the Month-a-thon. Frankie. This is my puppy, Frankie. She is very excited this morning. Hopefully, if the weather's nice, we'll go to the DOGPARK. I can't say that word out loud, or those words out loud, otherwise she immediately runs to the door and then gets very upset if we don't leave within 5 minutes. So, I am on book 2, Beach Read by Emily Henry. Frankie, sit down, please. Sit down, please. I only got into like a chapter last night before I just turned it off, or closed the book and went to bed. I was very tired yesterday. After reading, did I forget the name of the book I read yesterday? A Good Marriage by Kimberly McCrae, which I ended up giving 4 stars. I think I talked about it in the clip from yesterday, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. But after I finished it, I didn't really want to read anything, and then I was like, oh crap, did I just read something that put me in a book slump? But I didn't feel as book hangover-y afterwards. It was just more so the fact that, like, as you can tell from my voice, like, my allergies are super bad right now, and so all I wanted to do was take a nap and maybe a Benadryl. And so I just listened to my body and did that, and then listened to a couple podcasts, and I was like, I'll just, you know, read a little bit before bed and then really get through it tomorrow. So this book is pretty short. It is, oh, I take that back. It's 358 pages, but I don't know. It just feels like it's going to be a short read. So as I talked about yesterday in the car, it's about two authors, Augustus Everett and January Andrews. Augustus Everett is a literary fiction writer. I said contemporary yesterday, so litfic. And January Andrews writes best-selling romance novels, and they couldn't be any more different. And in the first chapter yesterday, they actually meet, and January's on the phone with a friend of hers, and she says something embarrassing, and he just riffs right back at her after the phone call's over, and she realizes that he heard her. But basically, they're in neighboring beach houses. They're both suffering from writer's block. And eventually they decide to switch their preferred genres. So Augustus takes his hand at romance, and January tries to write the great American novel. We'll just see what happens, you know? The last line of the synopsis says, "Everyone will finish a book and no one will fall in love." Really. I don't know if I believe that or not. I kind of hope it is like that though, like maybe like a 500 Days of Summer situation where it's like, no, we told you what was happening right up front, and we really meant it. So we'll see if that happens. As you may be able to hear, I have a YouTube ambiance room up for it's the Gryffindor common room. Hello to my fellow Gryffindors. And so I'm going to let that play, gonna enjoy my iced coffee, and, get to reading. So I will check in with you guys later. Bye. Alright, so I am 82 pages in, the beginning of chapter 9. So far, so good. I don't know, I had a hard time paying attention at first. It just feels like, I guess the last few books I've read, there hasn't been much build-up. Like, you just get plopped into the story. And so it's weird to read a book that has build-up and you have to pay attention to kind of what's happening in the beginning. But like the banter's picking up, and I actually want to turn the page and keep reading. Whereas in the first like 5 chapters, like I could have put it down at any point. So I'm really glad I did kind of like a reading sprint. I turned on the Forest app to help me not look at my phone. Set it for like 45 minutes. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna read. Excuse Frankie and all of her scratching over there. But yeah, it's fine. We find out that they actually knew each other in college and were kind of college rivals. And now we're getting to the point where they've actually decided that they're going to switch genres. Ma'am, I'm recording. Yeah, you. So we'll see what happens. So I'm going to take a quick break, finish my coffee, go get some breakfast tacos. Maybe and then when I get back, the sun looks like it's trying to come out. It's very like, I don't know if you can see this. It's very overcast outside. It's not great. But I don't see, Frankie, ma'am. Excuse you. I'm talking. It's very overcast outside, but it looks okay. So I think I'm going to, if it doesn't start raining, take her to the PARK. And then maybe get some reading done outside while I'm there because she can run around. Hopefully there are other dogs there. But yeah, I'll update y'all soon. What's up, guys? We are back from the park. Ooh, that's better lighting. There we go. There's Frankie. She's real sleepy. We were at the park for a couple hours. I probably read for all of 10 minutes of it. Partly because there's this older guy there that just, I don't know, he seemed like he needed someone to talk to, and I felt bad, so I started talking to him. But also because I'm kind of bored by the book, which sounds, I don't know, it feels premature because I haven't even hit the 100-page mark yet, but this book is also only around, I think, 350 pages, so it's like, if it doesn't pick up by around the 150 mark, I will DNF this. I have no problem skipping it. I also have a bunch of other Book of the Month books I could be reading right now, so yeah, if it doesn't pick up, I'm just going to skip it, but for now, I'm going to enjoy my lunch. I went and got a salad, and I'm going to watch Reagan's new vlog video because it just dropped, and why wouldn't I? So, yeah, I guess I'll see you all on the flip side, and we'll see if I am any less bored by this book. So I can play Animal Crossing. Look at that sleepy baby. So I was eating, and I feel full already, even though I have half my salad left, but halfway through Reagan's vlog, and then I'll start reading in a little bit. What's up, guys? So it's Friday evening, about 6:20. I don't think I'm gonna DNF beach reads. The next like 30 pages I read, I kind of enjoyed, and it's fine. But I'm kind of tired of sitting and staring at the book, which sounds weird because that's what reading is. But I don't know. I feel the need to do something different, maybe to pick up a different story. So I'm actually gonna go back to what I think was my March pick. Oh, Frankie wants a snuggle, which is not surprising. She's been real cuddly today. But my March pick was Hour of the Assassin by Matthew Quirk. And I wish I knew where the physical book was. I couldn't find it. But it is on Scribd. And it says that it should take me roughly 7 hours to read. So I figured that'd be a good like palate cleanser in between. So I think I'm going to read some of that while I play some MLB The Show. And snuggle with Frankie for a little bit. So I'll check in with you guys later.
The sound of a heavy V8. Nick pressed his back against the brick wall at the base of the fence. The 6-bedroom mansion was all stone with slate roofs, fit for an Ivy League campus, though its perimeter was more appropriate for a military installation. It seemed unreachable without raising the alarm. But every defense had its weakness. Nothing was perfect. No one was safe. Nick had to believe that, to prove it tonight and every night. As the black Chevy Suburban pulled up the driveway, Nick stole toward it. The faint blue glow of a cell phone lit the interior, and the face of his target, Malcolm Widener, the former director of the CIA. The job was simple enough. Kill him with no trace. Once, Widener had commanded an army of spies.
The next day.
Happy rainy Saturday morning. I don't know if you can see this. I'm turning this so it'd be easier. I don't know if you can see how gray and gross and rainy it is outside, but it just means it's perfect reading weather. So I am like 30 some odd % into Hour of the Assassin by Matthew Quirk. This was, I think, my March pick. Let's see. Yeah, March 2020. So this is my March pick. And it was a month where, like, normally I would have just skipped because I wasn't really super interested in everything. But this kind of piqued my interest. I don't think I gave you a synopsis before, but basically it's about a former Secret Service agent. His name is Nick Averos. And he spent... Before that, he was in the Marines, I believe. And then he was in Secret Service for like 10 or 15 years. And now he runs his own security firm, basically running, I think what they call red checks or a red teamer. So basically what that means is that it's his job to help Washington's elite figure out if their security detail has any weaknesses. So basically, he will pretend to, break into their home, their office, whatever. And if he gets close enough to where he could kill them, he drops a letter basically saying, hey, you guys failed the test. Let's talk about ways to, fix this so we can tighten your security. And so that's how the book opens. He's running a red teamer, gets into this former CIA director's house, drops the letter, and then the CIA director's like, hey, let's talk. And normally Nick would have just left, apparently, but he decided to stay and talk to him, and he actually, the CIA director ends up dying that night. And now Nick is being framed for that murder, and so we follow him trying to figure out, number one, who's behind it, why did they murder the CIA director, and why did they try to frame him for it, and also one of his friends went missing like a month before, and so he's trying to figure out, what's going on there. Like I said, this is something I normally wouldn't have picked up, but it reminds me of what got me back into reading when I was, I don't know, like 13 or 14. I'm almost 30, so I did not get to grow up in the time of good YA, if you will. Like right now, I could pick the cream of the crop for YA if I wanted to, with almost everything that's, not almost everything that's published, but a good amount. Like, Angie Thomas was not, around when she was alive, but she was not a published author when I was a teen. Neither was Nick Stone. If you wanted anything of substance, it was John Green or sci-fi fantasy. And I don't really like sci-fi fantasy. Frankie, could you not? Honey, could you not? Well, hey. Anyway, needless to say, quality YA just wasn't there. So it was more of finding adult books that weren't too adult, and James Patterson was that happy medium. There wasn't really a ton of sex in his books. I read a lot of the Alex Cross series because my mom was reading it. So basically what would happen is, because I came into it so late, because if you know anything about James Patterson, that man writes like 70 books for each series, it feels like. And she'd read all of the beginning ones, and like new ones were still coming out. She would get the new ones, and I was reading through the backlist basically. And I liked them because they were super short chapters, but like a page, 3 pages tops. And the story just moved quickly. Like you literally could pick up a 500-page book from him, but because each chapter was so short, like you were just flying through it. It's definitely one of those ones where like if you're in the park in the afternoon or on a beach or something, like you can finish that book that afternoon. Also, the print was kind of large, and this book is a lot like that. I'll show you. So, okay, so let's say chapter 4. It's 1, 2, 3.5 pages. And the text isn't like massive, but it's not small either. And so it's like these short chapters, so it's just so easy to fly right through it. I mean, look, chapter 8 is literally not even a full page. So, I think that's why I'm enjoying it. It's making me a bit nostalgic for, dare I say, middle school? I hated middle school, but I loved reading. And that's how I got through it. So, anyway, I'm at page 126, 28. Let's see. Oh, just kidding. 132. And there are 300, and I'm trying not to like read any of the words. Around 335, I can't flip. That's acknowledgement, so 334. So honestly, like I could probably finish this book this morning. And I hope to. So I'm gonna keep reading. I've got my coffee. I'm gonna need some breakfast soon. So I think what I'm gonna do is try to get around the 200 mark and then take a break, get some breakfast, and then just dive right back in. So I'll update you guys later. Bye. Hello, welcome back to a rainy Saturday. Oh, okay, the lighting's better. Sorry, my living room has no like ceiling fan with a light, and my only light is the window or that lamp over there. So I'm gonna have to figure something out, get some additional lighting in here. But anyway, I have finished Hour of the Assassin by Matthew Quirk, and I really enjoyed it. As I expected, it went by really fast. I just took Frankie outside. You can tell from my wet sleeves, it is still coming down out there. And yeah, it was good. I don't know, your stereotypical ex-military, ex-Secret Service storyline. It wrapped up pretty nicely. I would say for the most part, things didn't seem too far-fetched, which can be a problem with these kinds of stories, but it wasn't too bad. And so now I'm going to move on to Valentine by Elizabeth Wetmore. This is only, I think, like 300 pages long, so I think I can actually get through this today. But the subject matter is pretty heavy. It's about this girl in, I think, East Texas. No, just kidding. No, West Texas, Odessa. Yeah, that's, what, like 4 hours away from, yeah, maybe a little farther than 4 hours. Probably closer to 6, actually, because it's north of Lubbock. But anyway, random Texas trivia for you. Basically, it's the mid-70s in Odessa, which, if you don't know, is in the middle of kind of nowhere. It's, I guess, kind of, I said north of Lubbock, but I mean, I guess technically it is, like, if you're not familiar with Texas geography, so I'm in DFW, which is closer to, like, southeastern Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana kind of area. And then you go across the state, which can take you, if you go from one end to the other, east to west, damn near 12 hours. And it's the same thing north to south if you go from tip to tip. Actually, I think if you go all the way from South Padre up past Odessa, like towards, like if you're like headed towards Colorado, that might actually be 14 hours. Anyway, the state of Texas, people say it's big. They're not underestimating you. It is massive. As someone from the East Coast, a 6-hour drive used to mean you pass through a minimum of 2 states, if not 3. Here, 6 hours, you're probably still in Texas. Real good chance. So anyway, Odessa's kind of up, definitely north, but like northwest Texas. And when you think of like that arid, dry, tumbleweeds version of Texas, that area is that. I went to Texas Tech, which is in Lubbock, which is kind of closer, like as you're headed towards El Paso on the west side of Texas, and straight up saw so many tumbleweeds on my drive there. And on my subsequent drives there, even after I transferred, I went back for like football games and things and to visit friends, and yeah, it's exactly what you think it is. Honestly, it's so beautiful over there though, because there's certain areas, especially I think like 30 minutes outside of Lubbock, that honestly like, so I've never been to the Grand Canyon, but like obviously I've seen pictures of it, and I won't say it's obviously as vast as that, because if it were, everyone would know about it, but it's got that vibe. And there are certain areas where it's like, yeah, if I didn't have water, like I would definitely die out here in 2 days, but it's gorgeous. So take for that for what you will. So that's kind of the setting here of Valentine. You can kind of see actually on the bottom. It's a little hard to see, but you can see some trees and stuff, and it's just very, arid. It's oil country. When people talk about Texas and big oil, that's the area they're talking about. But I'm very interested to see it. It's basically about this girl, Gloria, who is assaulted on the early hours of Valentine's Day. And in like the middle of kind of a field somewhere. And she's actually still with her attacker. Like he's passed out, I think, either in his truck or right outside of it. And so like the story kind of opens of her like getting away, getting to the doorstep of, the nearest home. And so she's, this battered teen. And let's see, I'll just read the synopsis because I'm not really doing a great job explaining it. It says, it's February 1976 and Odessa, Texas stands on the cusp of the next great oil boom. While the town's men embrace the coming prosperity, its women immediately know and fear the violence that always seems to follow. In the early hours of the morning after Valentine's Day, 14-year-old Gloria Ramirez appears on the front porch of Mary Rose Whitehead's ranch house. broken and barely alive after a vicious attack in a nearby oil field. This act of brutality is tried in the churches and barrooms of Odessa before it can reach a court of law. When justice is evasive, the stage is set for a showdown with potentially devastating consequences. It says Valentine is a haunting exploration of the intersections of violence and race, class and region, in a story that plumbs the depths of darkness and fear, yet offers a window into beauty and hope. Excuse me. Told through the alternating points of view of indelible characters who burrow deep into the reader's heart, this fierce, unflinching, and surprisingly tender novel illuminates women's strength and vulnerability and reminds us that it is the stories we tell ourselves that keep us alive. So, from that synopsis, as you can tell, like, this is not, it's not beach read. Like, this is not what we're here for. This is probably going to be really dark and gripping, and even though it's just under 300 pages, like, normally a book like that I could probably read in, like, 4 hours or so. This might take me a little longer, so we'll see. I'll keep you all posted as I go through. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of trigger warnings. Obviously, there's one for sexual assault because synopsis, but I'm sure there's going to be some other things, so I'll definitely keep you all posted as I go. Alright, what's up guys? So, I took a break for lunch and decided to stop reading for a little bit. I don't know, sometimes like I'll be on a roll, I'll finish a book, and I won't necessarily have a book hangover from the first one I started, but then I've been sitting still for so long I just don't feel like doing that anymore, or I want to do something different while sitting still. I don't know. Let me know if you guys start to feel like that sometimes too. So I am going to play some Sims on my computer and watch a old softball game. It's Kansas and A&M because I just scrolled back through whatever happened at the beginning of the season before we got hit with Rona May. Because I miss sports like everybody else. So, you take what you can get. I do love that ESPN has been replaying a bunch of stuff, but it's not available on the ESPN app later, like to go rewatch it, which is kind of dumb to me. Like, I am excited that they're doing this, and they're doing like these tweet-alongs with ESPN personalities, but it's like, if I'm not around at, 4 p.m. on a Sunday or whatever to watch the rerun, normally if it had been a live game, you would just go into the app and replay it, but it's not there, so I'm sure there's probably some copyright or something along with that, but, you get what you can get. So I'm going to do this for a little bit, and then I'll check in with you again later and let you know if I got any reading done.
The next day.
Hello. I've been awake for like 30 minutes, so excuse the drowsy. I just took Frankie outside to go potty, and now she wants to snuggle. And plot twist, I didn't read a single damn page last night. Just didn't. Nothing is working right now. Ma'am, sit down. Good girl. I'll probably try again today. I don't know that I'm going to try with either of the two books that I'm in the middle of right now. I think I don't know, I've got probably at least 5 other Book of the Month books that I have not read that are sitting in the top of my closet right now. So probably go check out one of those and see if I have a better experience. But for right now, I think I'm going to watch some YouTube and work on this crochet project that has been staring me in the face for the last month, honestly, because I owe a friend of mine a housewarming gift. I told her that I would get her it. She moved last month, and it's nowhere near done. So that's what we're going to do this morning, and I'm going to hope that Frankie doesn't fall off the couch because she's being real wild right now. So I'll update you guys later. Bye. Hello. Let's talk about how bad I've been about updating you today. So I did end up reading an entire book in between the time since I last spoke to you and now. It was The Lies We Told by Camilla Way. I had tried to read it before and I temporarily DNF'd it because it was one of those thrillers where not only was it dual timeline, but it felt like multiple perspectives and I just kept getting lost. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna wait for my library to have the audiobook available, and then I just never checked. And then this morning I thought, okay, well let me log into Book of the Month and see what it says I have left to rate, because that's the unread books that I haven't told them that I've read. And I saw that on there and I was like, yeah, that seemed like a mediocre thriller. Let me see if it's available. And sure enough it was, and I listened to it on like 2 times speed, so it took me 5 hours to read instead of 10. And it was okay. I was about to say great, but that's a stretch. It could have been great, but the ending would not end. The big twist happened. And then she just kept piling shit on top of it that just didn't need to be there. Is it a bad book? No, but I mean, had I not gotten it from my library or from Book of the Month like 2 years ago, I just never would have picked it up. Honestly, like it just, I don't care. Synopsis. It's, like I said, dual storyline, so I think it starts in like 1977 or 1980, somewhere around there, and then the other timeline is in 2017. In the 1980s, you follow this woman, I mean her husband too, but mostly her, and she's having issues with her daughter. Like, I haven't read Baby Teeth, but it sounds sort of like that, where she's like, oh, I'm pretty sure my daughter's a sociopath. Literally from the time she's an infant, like she just is so cold towards her, and she's like, the baby will literally just stare at her, and then as she grows up, like the kid like murdered her beloved bird and like left the bird's head on her mother's pillow to find. Like just sadistic things that a toddler just shouldn't be doing. And it only gets worse as she gets older, and then later she has a little brother and she tortures him, and you know, normal sadistic child things. And then the other timeline you're following is this woman, Clara, and her boyfriend, Luke. And Luke goes missing. No one knows why or what's going on. And so, and then there's like this suspicious young-ish girl, like I assume she's like late teens, early 20s, that lives above them, that Clara just like is like, that girl rubs me the wrong way. She gives me cold looks every time she sees me. I don't know. She creeps me out. And so, you know, you could start to think, like, is she the sadistic child all grown up? Maybe, who knows? Let's read to find out. And so about, I think 70% of the way through, the lines and the timelines cross, and the previous historical timeline becomes more of like a, oh, this is why things are the way they are now, versus 2 stories where you're trying to figure out how they connect. And the connection point was fine. Like, it's not a new plot twist, but I feel like it was handled well. But the subsequent challenge after the plot twist, had it ended where you would assume it was going to end, would have been fine. Like, I would have given it 4 stars. Been like, great, handled so well. But she just kept digging deeper, but not giving you that much, like, that made it worth it. So, like, there's an additional, I don't know, probably 45 minutes. So what does that equate to? Like, probably a couple chapters. That just didn't need to be there at all. Like, if you're gonna do the whole like epilogue share after, I usually like when they're like, oh, 5 years down the line, here's where they are, kind of thing. But it wasn't that, and it didn't make the plot twist unrealistic, but she just kept hammering things that like we already just kind of assumed. And then she threw an extra character in there, and it was just kind of like, I mean, why waste my time or yours or your editors at that point? But again, it was fine. I gave it 3 stars. I wouldn't not recommend it to other people. Like, if sometimes when they're reading it, I'd be like, oh, okay, whatever. But like, I'm not gonna rave about it or be like, oh my god, my top 10 of 2020. Like, it's just not, it's not there for me. So, I also found the audiobook of The Gifted School. I think got this book around the same time. Haven't read it. That was mostly because I'm pretty sure this book is like 450 pages or something, and I was like, well, that just seems excessive. I honestly have no idea what it's about. When I remember reading the synopsis and feeling like it kind of gave me Big Little Lies vibes, in that it's you know, families with gifted children in a ritzy area, some magnet school, and I'm sure some shit goes down. What shit? I don't know, but I'll update you when I figure it out. So I'm gonna listen to that and put together, I assume I have to put together this bar cart that I ordered from Amazon. I have no idea what condition it's in when I open this box. Say hi to Frankie. We just got back from the dog park. She's exhausted and also doesn't know what to think of this box. She likes to do this whenever I get new things that don't really move. She'll lay down next to them and just kind of size them up and see what I do with it. So hopefully she doesn't freak out too much when I start putting this together. So I'm gonna go put this together now, listen to the gifted school, and then I'll update you here shortly. Hello, welcome back. I have finished putting together my bar cart. It wasn't as bad as I thought, thank goodness. I am 7 chapters into the gifted school, and I have a feeling this is gonna be more about like character development, and maybe there will be like one big thing that happens, but for the most part it's like about how these parents interact with their kids and their expectations of their children, how their children are feeling, and the kids are pretty young. Like, it sounds like they're all, for the most part, like 5th and 6th graders, so like in that real awkward transitional period of your life where, and they're actually talking about obviously with it being a gifted school, and I experienced this as a kid where like I was told all the time that I was special and so smart, and I'm not saying that I'm not smart, but like I feel like we boost little kids up with that so much because their development ranges so far. But middle school and high school are like the even playing field, right? Like for the most part, kids are at around the same development. And so right now they're at the point where they're like, okay, cool. So some of these kids are quote unquote gifted and there are these programs, and it's like, do we put our kid in? Do we not? One set of brothers are twins, so it's like even more pressure from the parents' end anyway. And so it's interesting to see. I'm enjoying it so far, and the pace is pretty good. So we'll see what happens. It's a nice change of pace too, because the last couple books I've read have had very specific timelines and expectations around plot and things that would move the plot. And so it's nice to have something that truly just focuses on character development. So that's what I'm doing right now. So yeah, I'll update you here shortly. Hey guys, welcome to the Monday after the weekend vlog. I would say that the Book of the Month-a-thon was a success. I did a terrible job of filling you in yesterday, so I read Lies We Told by Camilla Way and The Gifted School by, I forgot this man's name. Sorry to this man. Goodreads, load. Bruce Halsinger. I haven't read books this fast in a long time, and it feels so good. So I'm just going to go over my star ratings for all of the books I read this week. Holy crap, 4 books? I mean, not 4 full books. It's like 3.5, because I was already halfway through A Good Marriage before I started officially reading it for the Book of the Month-a-thon. So A Good Marriage I gave 4 stars. That one was by Kimberly McCreight and was about a woman who, what was her name? Lizzie? Yeah. Okay. So Lizzie was a lawyer, or she is a lawyer, whatever, at a kind of, I wouldn't call it a cutthroat law firm, because from what I could hear in the story, it didn't seem like the work environment was super cutthroat, but just like everyone's trying to rise to the top and work super hard. So everyone's putting in long hours, and she helps her college friend, Zach Grayson, who was also a law student with her, in his case where he was accused of murdering his wife. And so you just kind of go through that, and Lizzie's having her own marriage problems, and you're just kind of sifting through and trying to understand, you know, what's going on. Did Zach do it? If he didn't, who did it? And it was a really good, I would say mystery rather than thriller. I don't know that I would put it fully in the thriller category, but it was a really good mystery. So I gave that 4 out of 5 stars. And after that, I attempted to read Beach Read by Emily Henry and Valentine by Elizabeth Wetmore. I think I'm officially going to DNF Beach Read. I was very, very bored with that book. Maybe I'll try and pick it up later, you know, if the pool's ever open, you know, because with Rona May out here, the pool may never open. But I could see myself sitting by the pool and like reading it and being fine with that for the afternoon. But especially stacked up against the other books I read this weekend, like I was bored. I was very bored, so I just put that down. And then for Valentine, I wasn't bored by it. I just couldn't get myself in the headspace to read that. That one's definitely more heavy. I should give you the synopsis. So Beach Read is about two writers who end up living next door in their like beach houses. They knew each other in college, were kind of rivals then, and they're both in I was going to say a reading drought, but not a reading drought, in having writer's block, and they decide to switch genres. The female writer is typically a romance writer, the male writer is typically a literary fiction writer, and so they switch genres for the summer. And yeah, anyway, it sounded super interesting. It wasn't, so moving along. Valentine is set in Odessa, Texas in the 70s, and is about a 15-year-old girl who is sexually assaulted by a man who works in the oil fields. And it's kind of about like what happens in the town as that's happening. You know, does law enforcement take it seriously, those kinds of things. And like I said, definitely a much heavier topic, and I just wasn't in the headspace to read that, so I'll have to try that again later. I've heard really good things, and even from like the way the story was developing, because I only got into like I think 40 pages of it and I had to put it down. You can just tell that like it builds up very quickly. It's very well written and captivating, but I just like wasn't in the headspace. So I put both of those down, and I read Hour of the Assassin by Matthew Quirk, which I gave I think 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. It was yeah, I did give it 4 stars. It kind of made me nostalgic for my early teens when I was reading a lot of James Patterson. All the chapters were very short in that way. It was very clear-cut, like, what the story was about. It was about this man who used to be a Secret Service agent and Marine, except once a Marine, always a Marine, oorah, you know, sorry, child of Marines. And he is framed for the murder of the former head of the CIA, or maybe the NSA. It was one of those, one of the three-letter organizations, and he can't figure out why, and so he's trying to figure out why is he being hunted and set up for this murder, and can he find the truth before the police and FBI zoom in on him and get him. So that was a really enjoyable read, very quick read. I definitely recommend if you want, like, I don't know, like the Jason Bourne movies in a book. I would definitely recommend that. And then I also read The Gifted School, and I gave that 5 stars. I didn't realize I had been longing for a character-driven book until I read that. It's about a gifted school that's opening in Colorado in this kind of wealthy neighborhood and school district, but it's opened up to all 4 or 5 school districts in the area. And the area, it's called Crystal, Colorado, is very liberal and quote-unquote open-minded, but is entirely almost white and the least diverse place you've ever been. And some of the surrounding counties are more diverse. Kids out there speak 2 and 3 languages, not because they're like well learned or whatever, but because like in their homes, 2 languages are spoken. Like there's a surprisingly large Peruvian population outside of there, and they speak a language indigenous to Peru, Spanish, and then of course English to get by in the Colorado communities that they live in. And so it's just about this school opening. But more than that, it's about, you follow these families in this like mommy group, And then their housekeeper, actually, her son is one of the kids that speaks 3 different languages. And they're all vying to get their kids into this school. It's a charter school, so it's public, free. They just have to go through this admissions process to get in. And so you're watching them go through this admissions process. And you're watching some of them put in the work, some of them trying to pay their way in, and just what you would expect from a well-connected, wealthy, white neighborhood of people. But it was pretty interesting. Normally stories like that, I'm kind of like, okay, like, heard this before, poor little rich kids, whatever. But it actually was very interesting and very compelling, and I don't know, if you're looking for, not specifically Big Little Lies, but like that vibe, I definitely felt that. And honestly, I could see this maybe not being like a long-running TV show, but like a short series or something, or even a movie. Like, there's enough drama there for it to happen. So I definitely recommend that. And then the thriller I read, Lies We Told by Camilla Way, was fine. I gave it 3 stars. Honestly, the first 75% of it made it a 4-star for me, and then the last 25% like really knocked it down. And I talked about that a little earlier, so I'm not going to get into it some more, but it was fine. But all in all, a very successful book of the month-a-thon. I'm excited. I think I'm going to read some arcs in my Kindle, and then I'll be back this upcoming weekend. Chelsea from Chelsea Darling Reads, and I forget who's co-hosting with her, are doing a shortened version of the Contemporary-a-thon for Memorial Day weekend. So they're doing it from Friday through Monday, I think. So I'm excited to do that, and we'll be back with a video soon, hopefully with my TBR and talking about what the challenges for that are. So I'll talk to you guys later, and I'll see you in another video soon. Bye.